Hi Joshua, I want to thank you for meeting with me today. My name is Ariana. What brings you in today?
I was hoping to seek more professional help for something that's been going on in my personal life. My fiance in particular asked me to come here today.
Okay, so you're having some sort of issues and your significant other suggested you seek professional help.
Yes.
So it's a great step by seeing me here today.
Okay. Where should I begin?
Well, what are the issues that are occurring? What exactly is she worried about?
Uh, she's worried that my drinking is getting out of hand. Um, I should probably start from the beginning. A couple of years ago, I ended up hurting myself pretty badly. It put me out of work for a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the doctor and was able to eventually seek some help. Initially, they were very receptive with helping me. I did physical therapy. I was taking medications to help manage things. The thing that seemed to help the most was muscle relaxers, but then my doctor discontinued those for me. Because things never fully got to a point I was comfortable with, I pretty much almost always in a certain amount of pain. Due to that, I began drinking because I know that when I have a good amount of alcohol, I don't have any pain. I'm more comfortable, I'm more at ease, and I'm, after a long day, finally able to feel comfortable in my own skin again.
Wow, so you had an injury on the job, is what you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
and due to that injury, it's led to you drinking to alleviate the pain. But you did seek help from the doctor, you did go through the conventional routes to try and eliminate this pain.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounds like drinking is what's working best for you right now.
Yes, I've tried several other things. I even tried going to a different doctor. The thing that works the best for me was muscle relaxants. I was able to talk to that doctor and obtain more, but their offices have moved and I have to try and find another person to be able to help me out with this. As such, almost all of my medications have run out at this point as I'm looking for someone else, and I've had to go back to drinking to be able to feel a measure of comfort after a day.
So it sounds like you feel like the only way you will be comfortable is if you have something to drink.
Yes, I see relief with that. Unfortunately, my fiance is worried about my consumption, and it's also led to conflict with our personal lives. She thinks that I'm drinking too frequently. It's also put strain on some things with us. For one, I've gained a good amount of weight. She's worried about that. And because of it, I've also started to adjust my schedule with work and school. Before, I would be a quote-unquote morning person, and I would get up at the crack of the dawn each day, but lately because I'm typically unable to get out of bed really early, I've been requesting second shift at work. I've been setting my classes later and later in the evening, and it's starting to be a concern for her.
Okay, so you're modifying your personal habits to be more compatible with your drinking behaviors, is what it sounds like.
I suppose so.
And she's concerned about how much you're taking in and how frequently you're drinking. How much would you say you drink on a regular basis?
For me, when I do, I'll typically have like 2 bottles of wine per evening.
7 days a week?
5 to 7 days a week, yes.
Okay.
And I will, throughout the day, take any number of anti-inflammatory things to get me through, but then as soon as I get home and I can unwind for the day, that's when I start to reach for a bottle.
Okay. So you managed the pain throughout the day by taking pain relievers or whatever you have to do to alleviate it, and then at the end of the night, that's when you are able to drink, which provides the most relief. What you keep bringing up these issues that are occurring in your relationship as a result of you drinking. Beyond the weight gain and the change in schedule, is there anything else happening?
She's worried that it's becoming more problematic. It's caused some financial strain for us. I should say, I've had to modify my habits to correlate with it, and it's been, I suppose, irritating to her. I don't think that it's a big deal, but she's been upset about it more often than not. And because I love my fiance, I don't want this to be a big issue, but I don't think it's a cause for concern as long as I'm able to get back to the point I was at before.
Okay, so you've mentioned various things that have been affected by your drinking, from your weight, your school schedule, your work schedule, and it's causing problems in your relationship, and then also there's some financial strain as a result of it. But you don't feel that it's a problem. You're just here because she views it as a problem, and you don't want to risk your relationship, correct?
Yes, I think that I have things under control. I might have been raised in an environment where it was completely normal for lots of people to be drinking, but I think that I have a handle on things and that I've got a full measure of control.
Okay, so drinking 2 bottles of wine a night, and also having grown up around alcohols, do you have family issues? I mean, do you have family members who have issues with dependency?
Well, both of my parents, they drink a lot. I was kind of raised in an environment where that was the norm. I mean, even when I was younger, they would take me with them to the bar, and I would like do my homework and stuff there. But I don't think it's a big deal. That was normal for my family.
So you spent your entire life around alcohol, and your mom and dad have a problem with alcohol. Would you say they're addicts?
I would say that they are because they have less control over how it affects them. My parents would drink, they would go out, they would do reckless things like go and get buzzed and then get behind the wheel and go back home and put themselves at risk, but I don't do that. I keep to myself. I don't put myself at risk, and I don't put my life or people's personal safety in question, so I don't see why it's such a big deal.
Okay, so because these more severe situations aren't occurring, such as you getting behind the wheel or doing something to endanger yourself or others, that means to you that it's not a problem.
Yeah, if I was able to get in touch with my doctor and go back to the point where we were before, or even seek help in a different way, then I feel like I could go back to the way things are. I don't think it's a big deal.
Okay, well, I understand that you don't think it's very serious, and it sounds like you have a lot of mixed feelings about being here right now. If you had just been able to see your doctor and get your medications, you'd be able to be relieved of the pain you're in, and you wouldn't need to turn to drinking. One of the key things that I want to ask you, though, is how long have you been drinking? Were you drinking when you had the pain medication?
Occasionally, I would definitely say less. When I had access to all of my medications, it was more for recreational purposes, and it was definitely to a less degree. But that's when I realized that it was something that helped for being able to deal with it.
Okay. So you drank a lot less when you had the medications to reduce the pain. When you're recreationally drinking, how often would you say you take in the same amount? Like, when you recreationally drink, were you drinking 2 bottles a night, 5 to 7 times a week, or was it, what was the frequency then?
I would say maybe 3 times a week I would have the same amount, perhaps. The thing that has been upped would have been my frequency, I guess.
Okay, and do you feel any sort of unpleasant side effects when you're not drinking? Have you gone for periods of time without drinking?
I've gone through some periods without it. I mean, the thing that happens most frequently is that I'll just be in pain throughout the day, or it'll be really, really hard for me to be able to relax at night. I might not be able to sleep at all, and then the next day I'll be really uncomfortable, and that's when I'll have to maybe take a bunch of anti-inflammatories to be able to get throughout the day. I've definitely been able to do it. It's just a matter of I have to constantly keep myself distracted, or I'll have to be able to take maybe a leave or ibuprofen to be able to get by.
Okay, so with your chronic pain as a result of your lower back being injured, you pretty much feel cornered, and like you don't have really any options beyond continuing to drink, or else you have to distract yourself constantly from the pain and deal with the discomfort to the point where it keeps you up at night. Different things. Have you ever seen a doctor about potentially getting a stronger pain medicine to alleviate the pain?
I have. My doctor that I went to last was talking about putting me on opioid type drugs, but that's something that just scares the hell out of me. I don't want to have to go down that road. I think that I have a measure of control with how I'm handling things now. I don't want to have to go down that particular route, because I think that could be much worse.
Okay, well, you don't want to take the opioids because you're worried about addiction. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you don't want to take the opioids because you're worried about addiction, are you not worried about addiction with the alcohol? Because that's also a substance that can lead to dependency.
I think that I've got a measure of control over that, and that I can say when I've had enough and that I know how to handle myself. I worry that if I were to start taking opioids, then I would be taking them day and night to keep things under control, and then that could lead to more of a problem. The way I have things under control right now is that I can manage things throughout the day. I can distract myself, I can be productive, I'm academically doing quite well, but I don't want to have to constantly depend on pills to be able to get throughout the course of living.
Understandably. I mean, it sounds like it's a scary thing for you to think about potentially having to rely on medication, but you don't have as much fear associated with relying on alcohol to resolve those issues. It sounds like you have coping skills to deal with the pain throughout the day. As you mentioned, you distract yourself, you do very well in school, you also work, and that's a positive thing, that you do have those coping skills. Do you think you could utilize those skills more throughout the week to reduce the amount of days you're drinking?
I suppose that I could try more frequently to try and I'm open to suggestions, like, is there ways that I could find to keep myself distracted or able to not think about it? I guess that I would be okay with accepting help with that if there is other things that can be done.
Okay. All right. Well, there are some things that can be done throughout the day to potentially alleviate the pain, and throughout the night to help you sleep. I know personally I've actually had experience with back pain, so I've tried many alternative methods other than the pain medication route or using substances, just simply because I like to stick with the all-natural route of curing my bodily issues. So, have you ever tried a TENS device, something to send electrical signals to your lower back?
They did that when I was doing some physical therapy. I feel like it might have helped, but they only did it once.
Okay. Well, since you have tried a variety of options, having seen a doctor, what you could do is, if you were willing to give it a try, there is a TENS device you can actually purchase at the store and utilize at home on a regular basis to send electrical signals to your lower back to block those pain receptors. And it could allow you to get through the night without pain, but also you wouldn't have to drink. And ultimately, you're here today because this is putting a strain on your relationship. And are you aware of the consequences your drinking will have on your relationship?
I suppose I haven't really thought of it in a lot of detail like that. I love my significant other, and I want us to be able to work through our problems together. So I'm open to trying different things that might help, and I guess if I could get things more under control, then we would have less issues, and I may not necessarily need to come in and talk to other people like this. I haven't really thought of it about like that.
Alright, well, your relationship is very important to you. I can see that that's a source of strength, and you value what you have with her very much. And I think that coming in today has been a great step in the right direction. What I want to do is go ahead and connect you with some resources so that you can look into alternative methods of alleviating your pain. I'm not saying that you have to try any of them, but I think it would be very insightful and helpful to you to know what's available. Because you've mentioned you don't want to take opiates. You've mentioned that the alcohol is causing an issue within your relationship. You've mentioned that your relationship is very important to you and you don't want to lose it. So what I want you to do between this session and next is I'm going to provide you with some paperwork outlining the different resources available as far as alleviating pain, different methods such as meditation, that TENS device I mentioned. There are also yoga options that actually stretch the muscles in the lower back and can be very productive to just a short-acting pain relief option for you. You're willing to try some of those things?
I'm willing to try anything. I've dealt with this for about 5 to 6 years now. I'm open-minded to try anything that might help.
Amazing. Okay. I'm happy to hear that you're willing to try some new things. Once I give you that information, you can look it over between this session and next, and we'll talk more in detail about where to go from there.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you for meeting with me today.